Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I'm working on my junk journal from a house of books where I am documenting my great-grandma's life and her family's life and all that fun stuff. I just love family history and learning more about my family and where they came from and what stories they have to tell. And so that is why I think it's so fun to work through this. Eventually, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it for myself or give it to my mom. I'm not sure yet. But this is really fun to do. And I'm using the prompts from House of Books. This is one of their handmade junk journals, and it comes with a bunch of different props and different things that you can do different pages with. Like it has a key on one page and lace and all this fun stuff. This is the prompt map. And so this picture that I showed you to begin with is actually my great grandma and grandpa, my grandma's parents, obviously. And my great grandpa was from England and Wales area, and he has a really cool story because he actually was in Canada, and his mother, so my great grandma, had tickets to go on the Titanic and come pick him up in North America and stuff, but ended up they double booked her and another family, and so they gave up the tickets, so that they ended up, my great grandma and her other son ended up not going on the Titanic. And that is one of my favorite family kind of stories. Obviously, it has more stuff to it, but that's kind of the basis of it. So he grew up in England near London and ended up moving over to New York at around 18 or 19 years old. And so that is why I have those two postage stamps on there. I have one from Great Britain and also an American postage stamp that was probably about the 1930s. He was born in 1901. And so that's just kind of what I'm doing right now. I also have these fun little piano rolls from a House of Books. You can buy those a la carte. And I love how it turned out with putting them in an embossing folder. I love this little cathedral look you have with this embossing folder from Tim Holtz and Sizzix. Now, these are super delicate, so it is going to break apart, but that's what I love about this paper is it turns it from just like a piano roll, which I'm not sure really what to do necessarily with it, but when you emboss it, it just gives it this awesome texture. I mean, it has good texture to begin with all the holes and stuff, but embossing it just elevates it kind of and makes it kind of my jam. So I love this. I think I'm going to be using this a lot more in the future. And now I'm just kind of laying this out and trying to see how I want this cluster to end up looking. If you haven't checked out a House of Books a la carte section, this is a great place to grab those things that you really enjoy and love using. For me, I absolutely love the book binding scraps that a House of Books sells. I get them all the time if I can. I always like using them in my projects and my Bible journaling and my junk journaling. Anywhere that can have texture, that's where I like using them. So you'll see me grab the bag right here in a second and use a piece on the left-hand side underneath this photo. I just love the look that it gives with the frayed edges and everything. So I'll use that, and I'm also going to staple these postage stamps onto the photo. I really liked the little cutout holes out of the stamp that was there from use, and so I didn't want to lose that with glue kind of oozing through that. So that's why I stapled that first one down. And I still want a little bit more texture, but I'm kind of thinking about how I want to add that. But I also wanted to add my great-grandparents' names, so I'm going to grab my Dymo label maker and just punch their names out and add that to the page as well. Now, I'm not sure if it's just me, but my Dymo label maker is super fussy. I wish that it wasn't, but it just is. So I finally found out a hack, and I'm not sure if anyone else's is fussy or not. So I'm just going to let you know what it is. So usually I would cut it with a little cut button on my diamond label maker, but I've realized instead if I just continue and make that strand after I'm done with a word longer and cut it out with scissors instead of using the little cut button, it helps a lot and it doesn't get jammed, because mine was getting super jammed all the time, and so that has helped immensely. So just keep on adding spaces so that your tape gets a little bit longer. You do lose a little bit and waste some tape, but at least I'm not wasting a whole chunk of it because it just keeps on getting jammed. So if that's you, if yours is super fussy as well, that's what's helped me. So as I was looking at this cluster, I decided it needed a little bit more color on the left-hand side especially. I tried the Tim Holtz fabric tape, but wasn't pleased with the coloring of it. And so instead I grabbed the new ephemera pack transparent things too, and I really like that one. And I wanted to add the date that my great-grandparents were married, which was 1931. My great-grandpa got married a little bit later in life. He was about 30 years old. And so I wanted to add that little date in there to remember and to document that, because I believe this is their wedding photo. So I am using the Tim Holtz rub-ons. It didn't have a 1931, it had 1929, so close. So instead I used the 19 from 1929, and then just found two numbers. I think it said 13, and so I just flip-flopped them and I rubbed that on. And I will also be adding a little bit of mummy cloth behind the book binding. Now I didn't want to add glue behind the transparent element, so I took my tiny attacher and stapled it onto the photo and cluster. And then I'll work on gluing that down using my Barely Arts glue on top of that embossed piano roll. And then I'm going to turn to those little dynamo labels that I made and add the Elsie and Albert to the left-hand side of this cluster. Now, I'm still feeling like this cluster is missing something. I think it's because I ended up putting the transparent label at the top of the photo, and also the postage stamps are also on the top of the photo. So I need something to bring your eye kind of down into a triangle-like shape. And so I grab my curator snippets and find one that has London, England on the bottom. And he lived just outside London for most of his childhood. And so I decided to use that one. I will roughen it up a little bit with my scissors and fingers. And then I add a paper clip to it as well. And my last final touch for this page is adding just a little bit of lace underneath that little curator snippet. I think it just really pulls everything together. So that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and follow me on my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Wonderfully Made Handcrafting. I'll try to link everything I use down below in the description. Make sure to check out House of Books. There is a 5% coupon down there in the description if you want to order any a la carte stuff yourself, or maybe even a monthly kit. So I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.